Hello, podcast listeners. First up, thank you so much for listening to and supporting the podcast. We really, really appreciate it. We love doing it and we love getting the amazing comments in from all of you. Just a quick reminder that the Your Success book is out now on amazon.co.uk and amazon.com. It's currently available in both paperback and Kindle, and the audiobook will be coming out in 2019. Head to tiny.cc/yourbook to check it out. That's tiny.cc/yourbook to check it out. Now, on with the podcast.
Welcome to Your Success Podcast. We give you actionable insight and stories behind real-life success wherever you go. Here are your hosts, Angelos and Mo.
Welcome to Your Success Podcast. I'm Mo.
And I'm Angelos.
And today we are talking about dressing for success. Why is it so important and what should you do? So, Angelos, what exactly does it mean when we say dress for success?
It means putting on an appearance, basically, and it means adapting your dress style to the environment that you are going to go into, whether it's work or a party or wherever it is. You need to dress appropriately, but it also means wearing things that you're comfortable with yourself, the image that you're trying to project. So, you walk through town and you'll see a whole cross-section of society. You'll see people in scruffy clothes and you see people in neat clothes. But they've made a conscious decision to adapt that as their personality.
Why is it so important? Why is visually looking a certain way so important? Isn't that quite shallow, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, you should never judge a book by its cover, because there are millionaires who will dress scruffily and there's people who are about to be bankrupt wearing suits. So you shouldn't ever judge people like that. But we are human beings and we do judge. That's how we survive in this world. We look at things, if it's dangerous or if it's safe, and we have created these subclasses of things. So you've got the professional trades, the solicitors, the bankers who wear suits, and then you've got the new age hippies wearing their cool clothes and whatever, and they're probably going to be doing some startup stuff. I'm stereotyping here a little bit, but that's how we perceive people.
So you're saying that first impressions are important?
Yeah, I mean, I think statistically, there's 7 seconds you have to make an impression, and then after that impression is formed in that person's mind of what you are, or what you look like, or how you are, it's very difficult to undo that later on.
Yeah. You're constantly trying to fight back from that first impression, either up or down.
If someone sees you in your scruffy and your whatever else, you're not likely to trust them with your lawsuit. But if you see a solicitor come in and they match your perception of what a solicitor looks like, then the chances are you'll trust them more.
Do you think sometimes it goes the other way though, because some people might have the perception that you look at people in suits and you think that they're gonna, like, they're salesmen, or they're trying to sell you something, or you go to a car sales showroom and there's loads of people in suits and you think, here we go.
Well, the things with suits, right, is that they also symbolise that I work for this firm.
Yeah.
So if everyone wore jeans and whatever else, you wouldn't know who to go to.
Very true.
So it's a visual representation of that company. But we are moving away from suits. We are slowly becoming more and more casual, and I think that's a good thing, because we're no longer in the 50s anymore. We don't need to have our nice ties and cufflinks and all this kind of stuff. And if anyone can tell me why cufflinks exist, please do, because they just seem so pointless.
I don't know, is it before buttons? Right, you keep talking.
Right, okay.
Let us know.
All right, cool.
So why don't we talk about, what scenarios would you dress for success? When do you think it's important to dress for success?
I run the Professional Investment Group, and I host it and I present. And if I turned up in just scruffy clothes, and I'm talking about professionalism, I'm talking about property, I'm talking about business, I'm talking about making money, then people are going to judge you very, very quickly, especially when you're standing on a stage, because you have no choice but to be judged. So you wear smart casual clothes, because that's the image I want for the Professional Investment Group. I want it to be serious, but also have a fun element and a relaxed element as well. Whereas a lot of networking groups, it's all very stuffy and suits, and everyone's just, here we go again, another suited event. Whereas I like to make it a little bit more dressed down, relaxed, and the image stems from there, and that's the kind of people you'll attract, and they kind of mirror that as well.
Okay. What other scenarios would you think about dressing for success?
Let's say you want to see an investor and they're going to lend you £250,000 or £500,000 or whatever it is, you don't turn up unshaven, unwashed, hair all over the shop.
Why did you look at my hair when you said that?
Because your hair is always so beautiful, so it's like
He's saying it's all over the shop.
I think you must have had a bad gust of wind in here at some point. Cause
there's only one bad gust of wind in here, mate, and that's what's coming from your mouth.
I did have some beans earlier, actually, so it could have been.
That's not coming out your mouth.
Yeah. But it's also, it's not just clothes. It's tattoos.
Yeah.
It's being pierced in left, right, and centre all over your place.
But actually, if you're going for a job in a tattoo parlour or a piercing shop,
it's all about the context.
It's completely contextual.
For example, I imagine that a lot of the Facebook employees are not going to be dressing suited and booted every day to work, because that's not their culture. The culture is relaxed, laid back. We're the young up and coming people.
If the CEO wears a
t-shirt and trainers, and so be it.
But then at the same time, there probably are people potentially in sales roles or
the legal,
exactly, that do because the interactions they have day to day with other people in the similar profession that don't work for Facebook, so they have to have a...
if you have to go to court, you're not going to turn up in shorts, are you?
Hopefully not.
Well, hopefully not.
So, job interviews?
Yep, you want to make sure that you are dressed appropriately, and normally in the UK you have to wear a suit. That is expected of you. But again, that is changing. You've got the internet startups like Google and all the other guys back in the day. They don't require you to wear suits so much.
So it sounds a bit like this is faking it till you make it, and like not really being true. Like if you're the kind of person who's just like hanging out in like jeans and a t-shirt, but then you're like putting on this persona for a job interview or meeting the parents of your partner for the first time, or whatever else it is. Is that being genuine and being the person you actually are?
It's an interesting question. It's a perception of what we believe that attire, whether it's your facial hair, whether it's your tattoos, whether it's your clothes, shoes, whatever it is appropriate and in context with the environment that you want to make a good impression in. So normally you wear a suit for an interview for that, because that is what is expected of you. But that is changing. And in the context of fake it till you make it. So I think there's two sides to this. There's a positive side where you are effectively trying to be the person that you want, that you see and you admire. So for example, you want to be the next Bill Gates, for example. You would try and adopt many of his attributes for yourself and dress like him, learn like him, etc., etc. But there's also the negative side of fake it till you make it, and that's where you try to deceive people and you put on this show, and very quickly people can see through that. And there is an element of there is a fake it till you make it, and you should always be true to yourself, but you can adopt other people's successful traits as your own and use that in a positive way.
So you're saying it's about the intent of how you go into something. So if the intent is to deceive, then fake it till you make it and dressing a certain way when you're not actually like that is wrong. If you're going to do it in the job interview, but then you never do it again in the work environment.
Or you're very unhappy in that. You shouldn't be in that position because you're going to end up resenting it.
And the opposite to that is if the intent is because you're trying to project a certain image of something that you want to become and you want to grow into that thing, you want to step up to that, to be that professional level, like you start wearing a suit to work because you're looking to get a promotion, and you know that the person that does that role in that job, that role in the promoted position actually does wear a suit because they have external client meetings or whatever it is.
Because it's expected.
And you're saying, actually, I'm now putting myself 6 months, a year in the future, and I'm going to behave like that, and then eventually I'm going to become that. So that's okay.
And these things change. Almost decade, generational. It changes all the time. I mean, beards when I was growing up were weird. Now it's the adopted norm. For men and for some women.
So we've had a question.
Go on, Mo.
Letty Winkworth, thanks for your question, has said, can jeans ever be smart casual?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah. You got chinos. I mean, I'm not a fashion guru by any sense of the imagination.
Oh, really?
Let Letty decide who's the fashion guy around here.
I think smart casual is a really difficult category. I struggle with smart casual myself.
I mean, for me, smart casual is brown shoes, dark navy blue jeans, and a nice shirt, or a very nice jumper or something like that.
That's basically what you wear every day.
Pretty much, yeah. What would you define smart casual as?
I think I'd have to know more about the context of what I was going to. If it was like, do you know what? Whenever I see smart casual, I always double check with where I'm going. If it's a wedding and it says smart casual, then it's probably going to be different to like if it's a networking event that says smart casual, whatever. So I do usually check, because sometimes there's requirements around shoes, like which bit's smart and which bit's casual. Is it like smart up top and casual down below, or vice versa?
I always wear my Star Trek boxers. I mean, that's the casual bit. And hopefully no one gets to see them.
I think in Letty, thanks for your question. I think in answer, it's completely contextual, which is what we've said. So smart casual when you get it on an invite for a wedding will be different from smart casual if you get it to someone's birthday party, if you get it to a golf trip,
or rugby, or whatever it is.
Whatever it is. Yeah. So it's probably about understanding looking at what those events have been in the past, and also what image do you want to project onto going? Do you want to go along and blend into the background? Do you want to go along and stand out? Do you want to go and stand out because you're overdressed? Do you want to go and stand out because you're underdressed, as in not enough clothes, as in like not smart enough?
It may be very hot as well. Yeah. So you're right. I mean, you may want to just go against the grain just to be noticed. I mean, if you are trying to vie for that promotion, perhaps you want to stand out from the 50 other candidates and just turn up in your Star Trek boxers. I mean, I promise you will be noticed.
But probably won't get the job.
Well, it depends.
Depends what the job is. If it's number one Star Trek biggest fan interview.
Yeah, or the Star Trek Boxer Society. Yeah. You're probably going to do quite well, I reckon.
So I hope that has answered your question, Letty, in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
If there's any other questions, give us a shout and we'll answer them as succinctly as that.
But I just want to say very quickly, fashions do change, as we know. So 400-500 years ago, men were wearing skirts and dresses and things like that.
Which is still fine now.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot more fluidity in terms of fashion and what is acceptable. The genders are being blurred slightly of what is acceptable, both from a name point of view, but also a fashion point of view. And also, women have short hair, men have long hair. So everything's being mixed about. And that's a good thing, right? Because we're always trying to discover.
And it's what you said earlier about people, what you're comfortable in, and I think that's why it's now becoming more acceptable for people to just wear whatever they want, because actually it's what they're.
What are you happiest with? And as an employer, I would want my staff to be happy. As long as they turned up clean and didn't smell, and they wore something that wasn't too offensive, fine. Definitely. Just do what you like.
And as long as it aligns with the vision for the company that you're building, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got, for example, because we've got quite a heavy construction focus in parts of our business, the people that work in the construction side of the business, when they go on site, they have to wear steel toe cap boots, they have to wear high vis and proper trousers and a hard hat and all that kind of stuff. And that's absolutely, there's not even any question about that. But people that are more based in the office and the more, just office based most of the time, they don't have to sit in hard hats and high vis and steel toe cap boots, because it's a completely different context. And I think that's really important. So what are people comfortable in, and what's the image you're trying to project, both as from a personal point of view and also from a business point of view? One other thing I wanted to talk about. Go on, you go first.
No, go on, Mo.
No, you go first.
All right, I will.
So you're not going to close off the podcast.
No, I definitely won't. Okay, so fashions, they come in, they swing and they go back and forth. Beards versus no beards, as an example. I look forward to what fashion is going to be in the next 10, 20 years, because it has to evolve and become different.
Exactly, and that was what I was going to say actually, was you've got all these millennials and Generation Z and Y and X, whatever we're up to now. I think, what we got, Z? Generation
Z, yeah.
I think Z is after
Y, I'd imagine.
Millennials. Oh, God. When those people age up, so the people that are 20, 21, 22, 25 now, what is it going to look like in 25 years when they're 50? It's not going to look like what 50-year-olds
what's interesting is
now.
That's a really good point, though, because our generation, mid-30s, early 30s, that's our peak time now. So the 90s was when we grew up.
Yeah.
We became conscious of the world of fashion and all sorts of stuff. Now's our time.
Some of us did.
Some of us did. Some are still struggling. And now we're influencing the media.
Yeah.
You know, we're in positions of power, and then eventually we'll fade away, and then the next generation will replace us. And their ideas of the early 2000s will become the thing. So we'll look back at that time, and that will be the golden era, and it will shift across, etc., etc. What I wanted to say is that some countries look at what we wear and laugh at us. So I'll give you an example. Sweden. Their bank managers cycle to work in shorts and t-shirts, and that's normal. Whereas they see us over here in our suits, and they think, "God, bloody hell, how Victorian! Are these guys ever going to, grow out of this?"
So actually, it's industry specific. It's industry specific. It's generation specific, and it's also sort of geographically specific. So you have to consider all of those sort of contexts when you think about dressing for success.
Whereas, for example, us over here, if we saw a bank manager in shorts and t-shirts, we wouldn't respect them, because it's just two different cultures. But also, we have to look at things like how conservative we are, how liberal we are. So there's all sorts of politics that are involved with it, and generational things. So it's a massive, massive subject.
So I think the other thing as well with talking about the Generation Z and ageing up and how that's going to change going forward, the work environment is totally different now to what it was like 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? So maybe a bit more than that. Traditionally, you would go to work, you dress smart to go to work, you'd work 9 to 5, and you would speak to people in your office and maybe some people on the phone or whatever, and you'd write letters. Like now, the working day, you can work from home, you can work in front of your laptop, you can outsource work to different parts of the world. You don't know what the person you're outsourcing the work looks like, unless you're doing like Skype video meetings with them. And even in big organisations, you have a lot of teleconferences and things like that. You've got people working from home, you've got people working in the office. The whole work environment is changing, and I think that's really going to impact on what's considered as acceptable work attire.
Mo, you just reminded me of a slightly embarrassing story. So I was on a Skype call from home to someone dealing with some kind of problem, whatever it was, when I was working. And I was in a rush, so I quickly put on a white shirt, looked all professional in my little home office and whatever else. I was just in my boxers, and I thought they're never going to see him, because, why would they? And then the doorbell went, and I had to run downstairs, and I forgot. I just stood up in I think it was my South Park Kenny Illuminous glow-in-the-dark shorts. And it's on this conference call, and everyone could see it, and then I came back and I realised, oh shit, and everyone's seen it, and everyone's all embarrassed and doesn't know what to say. No. It was raised later on with my manager, but it was such a...
That's so funny.
They just asked me, could you, in future...
Can you just wear some trousers?
Just anything,
Oh God, that is terrible. But yeah, I think that's a prime example, maybe not a prime example, that's an example, but it's just the way that things are going now. Because of the internet, you've opened up sort of global working 24/7. You can outsource stuff to people in different time zones that can have the work done for you by the time you wake up and all this other kind of stuff. And it's moving away from you go in and you're trying to impress. It's actually, I think it's a good thing, because it's much more now based on output and on delivery. So rather than showing up and doing the FaceTime, you're actually, if you do the job, it doesn't really matter where you are, what you dress like, what you look like, what clothes you wear, in that example. As long as you get the job done, that's fine. And I think that's actually a really positive thing.
Yeah. So we want to know what you guys at home think about dress for success.
Yep.
Are you a suit-wearing professional who just feels sick by not putting on your shirt and your blazer every day? Or are you just a cool, chilled-out hippie who could never wear a tie again? We'd love to hear from you, how you feel about these things. Please write in to hello@yoursuccesspodcast.com and contact us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, the whole lot. We're all out there. We'd love to hear your feedback on this.
I've just thought of something.
Go on, my child.
The other thing I find is I didn't really like wearing a suit every day when I had to wear one every day when I was working at the bank. actually now I quite like it when there's a wedding or, you know, a really smart event. It's actually quite nice because it's not something you have to do every day. You know, it's an actual event and you get dressed up and you get smart and you know, you feel, you're not necessarily comfortable because it isn't that comfortable to wear it, but actually it feels quite nice.
And which man does not feel like James Bond in a tuxedo?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not I. Cool. So, how far did we get?
So we want to thank our listeners.
Have you talked about the book?
Oh, we have talked about the book, but we haven't mentioned about Dress for Success in the book, but we have talked about how to be successful in the book.
Yeah.
So please have a read of it. You can find it, Your Success, on Amazon. It's #1 bestseller. We've reached many people across the world, humans across the world. And what's interesting, Mo, is that a friend of mine who I haven't spoken to in many years, she did a search for Warren Buffett on Amazon.com the other week, and next to, as a suggested book, was Your Success by us, next to Warren Buffett. Can you believe it?
That is amazing.
And she contacted me out of the blue and said, "Oh, is this you?" I said, "Yeah, it is me." And she bought it, and now all her friends are buying it, and we have a little fan group in America. It's just brilliant.
Great.
We never would have thought that, and it's helping to inspire a load of people across the world, so really pleased.
And the other thing with the Your Success book is that as part of it, you can download the free Your Success Toolkit, which is actually takes the learnings from the book and actually puts it into actionable, tangible stuff that you can write down what your goals are, and you can write down things that motivate you and inspire you, and actually build out your success journey from that as well.
Because we want you to be successful.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah.
Cool. So that can be found on Amazon.
Yeah.
And yes, please get in contact with us readers and listeners. We'd love to hear your feedback. So I've been Angelos.
And I've been Mo.
And see you again on the next exciting episode of Your Success Podcast.
You have been listening to Your Success Podcast. Click subscribe for more incredible content. More details can be found at www.yoursuccesspodcast.com.